Well, hello. I wanted to make this video because I kind of wanted to tie in some concepts. And I'd like to point out that my dog only makes noise when I'm trying to record something. When I'm not trying to record something, he just sits there silently. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Anywho, so I have noticed as I've been teaching that there are certain concepts that people can really easily understand, but then taking them to the next level and applying them to something else is kind of difficult for them. It's kind of like we have the knowledge, we know the information, but what do we do with it? And that's the hard part. I wanted to make this specific video without you being able to see the keyboard. And that's going to be for a very specific reason, and it has to do with you not being biased for yourself over the information that we're about to go over, and that will make sense here in a minute. So what I wanted to talk about today is kind of along the lines of chord theory, but it's not going to be how to build chords. It's not going to be what are the basics of chord progressions. We're going to try to take that somewhere else by introducing chromatic chords, borrowed chords, stuff like that, chord substitutions. But I'm going to try to do it in an easy way. One thing that I feel like is a lot of people think music theory is really difficult. And I think the reason why that is because in music theory, we use really, really big words to describe very basic, simple things, which I personally disagree with doing, but it's just the way it is. So what I want to talk about right now, just to get this ball rolling, and without you seeing the keyboard so you can try this without any bias, is borrowed chords, chromatic chords, stuff like that. How do we use them? What are they? Now, there are other videos that go over things that can bring you up to this level. So if you're watching this and you find, and you're like, I don't really know exactly what that means, good news, we have I hit the microphone stand. We have a video course available. If you'd like to know more about that, let me know. We are going to be launching a website soon where all of that can be accessed. It's subscription-based. You can cancel anytime. More details on that later. So anyway, borrowed chords, chromatic chords, stuff like that. What is that? So let's take, for example, and I know you can't see the keyboard, and this is on purpose. Let's take, for example, a C scale. We have a C major scale. We know what that is. C to C, no sharps and no flats. The reason why I don't want you to see the keyboard in this particular video is I want you to sit at a keyboard and figure this out as I'm talking about it. Sometimes if you can just see the hands, it becomes more of a let's just watch a video type thing, but I really want you to actively participate in this. So that's why I'm not letting you see the keys, okay? So if we have a C major scale, and we build our chords that naturally exist in that scale, which if that's going to be another thing it's in another video. But anyway, we know what the naturally occurring chords are. We have our 1 chord, which is C major, our 2 chord, which is D minor, our 3 chord, which is E minor, our 4 chord, which is F major, our 5 chord, which is G major, our 6 chord, which is A minor, our 7 chord, which is B diminished, and then our 8 or 1, because it's back to C major at the top, okay? We know from basic chord theory and basic chord progressions and whatnot that the most common chord progression of all time is 1, 4, 2, 5, 1, or more simply 1, 4, 5, 1. Here's how they both sound. So first of all, here's 1, 4, 5, 1. In the key of C, it's going to be C major, F major, G major, C major. And I inverted things. Here's 1, 4, 2, 5, 1. C major, F major, D minor, G major, C major. And I kind of voiced it out a little bit. That's great and that's fine. we can do that. But what if we want to take things to another level? What if we want to take something that we're writing, for example, and make it a little tiny bit more interesting? This is where borrowed chords come in. Okay, so before I fully explain that, we have to understand the difference between a chromatic chord and a diatonic chord. A moment ago, when I played the naturally occurring chords in the scale, those are all going to be referred to as diatonic chords. And the reason for that is they occur naturally in the scale. So diatonic chord is going to be any chord that exists naturally in the scale and key that you're in. If we take a chord which is based on a root which does not exist naturally in the scale or the key that we're in, that's going to be a chromatic chord. So for example, if we are in the key of C and we play an A flat major chord, A flat does not exist in the key of C. So that A flat major chord is being borrowed from a different key, which in our case happens to be A flat major. When we're in the key of C and we play an A flat major chord, we're borrowing the one chord from an entirely different key and bringing it into the current key that we are in. Here's what that sounds like. If I play a C major chord and then an A flat major chord, just normally, I'll play them in root position just to get out of the way. Take another listen to that. Here we are. I'm going to invert it a little bit. I need to stop hitting the mic stand. Oh, I just hit the mic stand with my face. Oh, anyway, I'm going to invert it. We're going to listen to it just a little voice differently. Okay, here we go. It has an entirely different feel from our normal 1-4-5-1 type thing, okay? And now there's cars going across. It's fine. I do not live in a recording studio, so you're going to have to pardon extraneous noise. I do apologize. We're borrowing a chord from a different key and bringing it into our current one. But how do we know when to do that? How do we know when it's appropriate to do that? If I have in my melody a G, should I build an A flat major chord right on it? Well, David, yes, because that would make A flat major 7. Let's not talk about that right now. If my melody is G and I want to add A flat major and we're in the key of C, that G is going to completely change the chord that we're playing. And it's going to be out of context, and we're no longer going to be getting what we want. If you want that sound, then it's fine. I truly believe if you like it, then it's correct, okay? But if our melody is G, should we add an A flat major chord? Probably not, unless it's what you want and it works and fits in the progression that you're doing. It might work better if the melody note and our altered chord are somehow related. There are many exceptions to this. I make exceptions to this all the time. I'm trying to be very fundamental right now about this, and I realize that this is a lot. It's recorded. You can watch it as many times. Students of mine have a theory reference guide and cheat sheet which helps out with this. And if you are a student of mine, version 4 is coming out soon. There's going to be a lot more in it. Okay. Let's take a melody. Let's just make a really basic melody. And you can't see my hands. That's fine, because you don't need to. I want you to listen. I want you to hear this, okay? Let's just go. Sure, why not? Let me figure out some chords really quickly for that. Pretty basic. Sounds like it's the end of a commercial or something. That chord progression is 1-5-1. Over and over and over and over again. That's fine. Okay. And I was probably foolish here making such a simple medley, but it's fine. We're going to figure it out. I play notes. And I think, okay, what chords include those notes? Basically, if we're being super simple, the 1 and the 5. Why? Because my melody consists of the following notes: G, E, D, C, B, D, C. All of that works with a C major chord and a G major chord. But what if I wanted to give it a totally different feel? We have our first 2 notes. Our melody note is an E. Pause the video, figure out some chords if you want. I strongly recommend that. This is why I don't want you seeing my hands. I want you to do this with me and not be passively watching the video. So again, that's why I'm doing this. Now, in the subscription videos, there is one where you can see my hands. If you'd like to know more about that, there will be more. I'm sorry, I'll stop. If our melody note is an E, A minor has an E in it. And then our next note is a C. F major has a C in it. So if I slow it down, change the chords a little bit, it goes from to now. We could add a 5/7 chord. And back to 1. It's a minor 3 chord, going to a 4 chord with a suspension in there. 1, 4, 2, 5. We modulate it. No, we didn't. Minor 4. 1. Flat major 6. Flat major 7. 1. 1. David, that was too much. How could we possibly follow that? You're not supposed to. The point is, we can make dramatic changes to the feeling and scope of a piece just with the chords that we change. And again, there will be people who are going to be really disappointed that my hands were not visible on this. David, this is a piano instruction video. You need to have your hands visible. Yes. However, I believe that there are times when we as musicians need to listen with our ears. Because if you watch my hands while I'm going over this, it's kind of like a cheat sheet. It is going to be really good for some people. But I really, really want to stress the importance of listening with our ears and not being trapped by the keyboard. I very often will just sit here and play random notes until I can find what works. I have a use for that, actually. It's very dissonant. Let me just remember this. That's actually, this is what I'm talking about. You don't want to know what that's for? It's not bad. I'll be releasing it soon. Okay, that will be good. But yeah, just sit down. Sit down at your keyboard, play your melody, and experiment with chords. Some will work, some won't. This does not work. Don't feel that you have to do anything in music because someone told you to. And this is where all the music teachers get mad. Well, I'm also a music teacher, so it applies to me too. Don't feel restricted creatively by the rules set forth by others. There is no point in being a musician or writing songs if you can't do it, number one, for yourself, and number two, to enjoy it. No one wants to write music because they have to. That does happen. But we want to try to expand things just a little bit so that we can develop and find our own voice, and so that what we do doesn't sound like everyone else. It's really, really, really important not to sound like everyone else. And there's a channel on YouTube, which I strongly recommend, Guy Mitchell Moore. If I said your name wrong, I'm sorry, Guy. He has an excellent video on this. So please take a look at him. This is not a paid promotion at all. I love his videos. He's great. He does an excellent video on not sounding like other people. But I just wanted to go over that today, not to be discouraging and all of that, but close your eyes one day and just sit down. Even if you don't have muscle memory for what the keys are, just sit down and just find what works. I just randomly played an A7 chord. Thanks for watching. See you next time.